So tonight, the title of my talk is Love is All There Is. Really? I don't know if you got that inflection when you saw it in the emails, but that's the point. And what I want to share with you tonight is what I have found, that if I proclaim or declare a truth, it doesn't always serve me. Now, that doesn't mean that declaring a truth isn't helpful. It's just I found that if I to go into a truth with inquiry, with a question, then it seems to open up and I have an experience that actually transforms my life. And one of the things we read about the purpose of the fellowship is transforming lives. And that's what I hope tonight. You know, I've heard someone say before that if you give a man a fish, he has a meal. But if you teach him to fish, you feed him the rest of his life. Well, tonight, I hope that what I share with you will be something you can use that will feed you for a long time, which is basically how to live in the question. How to live when things arise in us that seem to be opposite of what we know to be true. How to address that moment without guilt, without remorse, but instead with a question. And then let spirit, let consciousness, the thing that we all are, bring that answer from deep within you. And you know what it will save us from being as another religion. Because if you start saying, well, at my church, we say we are love. I am love because that's what my church says. Well, you've just started another religion. But if you say, you know what, am I love? Is it true that in my experience I am love? And then when you have that experience, it's no longer a religious belief. It's an experience. And I don't even know if experience is the right word. It's in your makeup. So you don't have to question it. Or you may have to question it again. I find that I have to question things over and over again. So with that in mind, one of the things that I have learned is that I need to ask the question sort of in a positive negative, which in the Hindu tradition it's called neti neti, which I think I've talked about before, which is not this, not this. So if I come say, love is all there is, really? So if I say, well, my brain just goes blank here. That's beautiful. One of the things I found out about a question is, you know that Course in Miracles book that some of us, probably most of us, love and cherish? You know how it started? With a question. There must be a better way. And then 7 years that book unfolded inside of that development of that group, Helen Schuckman and Bill Thetford. And that question is still the question that I ask myself all the time. There must be a better way. There must be a better way. So questions, when they're asked with sincerity and intention, are powerful. Hugely powerful. Now, last time I talked about asking the question and used the example of when you lose your car keys. And we've probably all experienced that, where we've getting ready for work or getting ready for a special engagement, whatever, and we've get ready to leave and the car keys are nowhere to be found. And so we panic. We look everywhere. We go back through everything. We go to the car, see if they're in there. We look in the doors to see if they're in there. Finally, we have had it. We give up, and we sit down in the sofa, in the living room, or wherever you do, and say, I don't know where they are. I give up. I'm not going to go. It's over. And then we say, help me find the keys. And that's what I always do. I use Holy Spirit, but you can use whatever you want. Universal intelligence is another term that I find helpful. Help me find my keys. And then, then you turn on the CNN, you watch a little bit. And you think, okay, what's next? And then a little bit later, you decide that you're thirsty and need to go get a drink. and you go get ice for your iced tea. Let me take a drink of that. And open the freezer, and there are the keys sitting right nice for the ice cube. Boom. Well, that's how we ask these questions in consciousness. We ask it not knowing the answer. Because if you ask the question, am I love, and say, yes, I am. Well, yeah, maybe you are, but that's not how it do. You ask the question into consciousness, and then just sort of back away from it. And just let it appear. So one of the things we learn in A Course in Miracles is our whole goal here is to remove the blocks to the love that's already here. So what I find when I ask these questions, it helps those blocks for me to recognize them, number one. And number two, they remove without me beating myself up. Because that's what I typically do. I'm sure none of the rest of you do this. When I find myself, driving down the road and flipping somebody off, of course, I never do that, but if you've ever... and I go, oh, I've done it again. Okay? But if I can look at that without guilt, just observe it, and say, did that bring me peace? Did that bring me peace? Is that the message I want to convey here? I can bet you, because I've done this, that the issue won't come up as often. Because all of a sudden you recognize, it doesn't serve me. And when you find something doesn't serve you, it just drops away. When you think it's going to give you something, you'll hold on to it dearly. But when you can recognize that little burst of anger that's very offensive to some people, I actually sort of enjoy it, but that's a whole other story. That whole issue, you can recognize, oh, there's another way. There's another way. I seek peace instead of this. Everything is either love or a call for love. It's another thing we learn in A Course in Miracles. And when I've used that in my life, I've often considered that what you do is a call for love and what I do is loving. Okay, I mean, that's how I interpret it, okay? What I found is that urge to flip somebody off is the call for love in me. It's the thing that needs the love in me. It's the thing that's saying, Brad, pay attention. You need to love that part of you. Not condemn it. Not try to push it away, but fully embrace it and love it. And then say, does it serve me? Now, I don't know about you, but that seems a lot easier and a lot more loving than saying, well, I just have to tape my hands to the steering wheel so that I don't do that anymore. Okay? Or whatever you might do. So seeing the call for love, not in our brother, not in our sister, but seeing that call for love in our own behavior, in our own thoughts, in our own actions, where we see that call for love. And then offering that love back to ourselves. Because really the truth of the matter is we can only love ourselves. I mean, well, again, that's another question you can ask yourself. See if that's true. Let me give you an example. If I had a situation this week where someone gave me some really good advice. And it was partly about my humor and sarcasm and what have you. And it was sort of saying that maybe you need to look at it differently, Brad, since you're maybe in the role of a minister. And I went, whatever. But I went through a whole little process with this. It was actually a beautiful, beautiful process. I wasn't even going to talk about it tonight, but it's been such a part of my week, I can't not talk about it. And so I talked to my daughter, who's right in here. She's like my little guru, too. I called her up. And, do you believe that, whatever. I'm just going on with her. And I say to her, if I give up my humor and my sarcasm and my little shady jokes, there's nothing left of me. Who would I be? And it was like a bolt of lightning hit me. It was just like,